and welcome back. Well, I hope you've had a good week. Maybe you've been back at school. Maybe you've had a chance to go visit some family or see a friend this week. But I wonder, have you been making anything? Because today is Father's Day, so maybe you have been making cards or gifts. Now, I wonder who you'll be giving your card or your gift to. For me, my card will go to my dad, but for you it might be someone very different. It might be an uncle, a grandparent, or someone else. But whoever you are celebrating today, I'm sure that it is someone who cares for you and loves you and supports you. Well, we're going to talk about somebody else who loves and cares for us, and that's God. Because God is also someone we can call our Father. In fact, when we say the Lord's Prayer, we start it by saying, Our Father, who art in heaven. And that's because just like a father should, he cares for us and he loves us and he helps us to keep safe and protects us. And we know all this because, as we've talked about before, Jesus died on the cross for us, and he died for our sins so that we could have that father relationship with God, so that we could know that love. And we also read about this in the Bible, and there's Bible reading again this week, and there's a couple of lines I just want to read from. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just a couple of lines that I think help to highlight the fact that God loves us. And let me just open my pages up. So the reading's from Matthew, and it's Matthew 10, and the verses, I'm just going to read, it's chapter 10, and the verses are 30 and 31. That's all I'm going to read. Okay, just a short little bit. And it says, God even knows how many hairs are on your head, so don't be afraid. You are worth much more than many birds. Okay, I'll just read it one more time because it's very short. Okay. God even knows how many hairs are on your head, so don't be afraid. You are worth much more than many birds. What do you think about that? It's nice, isn't it? It's nice to hear that we are worth so much, and I think it shows how much God cares for us, because he knows everything about us, and even down to the smallest detail of how many hairs are on our head. And when someone knows us that much and someone loves us that much, we don't have to be afraid, because we know that they're there for us. And it's only a short couple of lines, but it says quite a lot, I think. But have a little think about that, okay? So think about it. God even knows how many hairs are on your head. Don't be afraid. You are worth much more than many birds. Okay? So keep thinking about that this week. And to help you to keep thinking about it, we're going to make a little craft. And so this week, I thought we would have a go at making a grass head. So it might be something you've made before, I don't know. But here's my little grass head that I made earlier. And it's a funny little face. And he's got some grass seeds in the top of his head. And in a few weeks' time, these will grow into little shoots of grass. And they will look like lots of hair sticking up through the top. So I'm going to show you how to make one. Like I say, you may have already made one, but they're good fun to make, so it's always good to make another. Now what you're going to need is you're going to need some old tights, clean ones, but old ones. Maybe ask whoever's around, mum or whoever, if they've got an old pair of stockings or something. Something like this is really good. And we're going to just use the foot part. Forgot what I was going to say then. I'm just going to use the foot part to pop all our bits into, all our seed and our soil. Okay, so we're going to need some grass seed and we're going to need some soil. Okay, now you've probably got your grown-up there that'll be able to help you. Maybe even it's your dad or your uncle, the person that you're celebrating Father's Day with. So maybe you've got them there, and they can help you by holding this open so you can put the seeds and things in, which is very helpful. I haven't got anyone here at the moment, so I've got a bowl here, and I'm just going to stretch it across the top of the bowl, just like so. You could use a large cup or something else like that, and then that way I can fill it up, and it's like having an extra pair of hands for me. So the first thing that needs to go in will be your seed. So here I have got some lovely grass seed. We've just recently put some grass down on our lawn, so we had a little bit left over, which is why I like using things that are lying around the house. So we've got some grass seed, and we're going to put in, it's up to you how much you put in. I'm going to put in, oh, I don't know, it's probably about a good tablespoon, 2 tablespoons worth, because I want to make sure that my grass head has got lots of hair when it starts growing. So I'm just going to pop some more of this in the bottom there. Okay, there we go. So I'm not sure, but maybe you can see that. So there's our grass seed in there first of all, and then you're going to need some soil or some compost or something like that. So I've found a little bit of compost in our garden that I could use out of one of the bags, but you can just use soil out the garden, that works as well. And so you're just going to pop it into the, whoops, dropping it everywhere now, pop it into the stocking on top of the seed, and you're just going to keep filling it up till it's, well, it will depend really on what container you use, but probably about the size of a tennis ball is what you're aiming for. My little containers that I've put the top my grass head sitting in are quite wide, so mine are a little bit bigger than a tennis ball. But if you, because you'll need something to stand it in, that's what I forgot to say. So if you're going to use something, you could use something like a yogurt pot maybe, or a jam jar. They'll work just as well, but the tops are slightly narrow, so you don't need to make the heads quite as big as what I'm doing mine. Let me just grab all of this soil. Now the other thing you might want to do is you might want to actually do it outside. I can't film outside because it's just so noisy out there at the moment, so I'm doing mine indoors, but it's a lovely thing to do out in your garden actually. But I've put a tray, I've got a tray here catching all the odd bits of soil and things, so I'm fairly tidy. Okay, so for me, I just need to push my soil to the bottom because I haven't had someone holding it open, so I just need to give it a bit of a squish. But you might find because you've had someone holding it open, it's already in the right place. So there we go. So you're just gonna push all the soil down to the bottom of the stocking, sorry, with the grass seed in. Actually, I probably need a bit more, but I've run out of soil, so that's how I feel I'm going to do mine. But like I say, depending on how big the top of the container is. Okay, so once you've got that all pushed down to one end, then you can tie a little knot into the top. Well, it will be the bottom, I suppose, but currently the top of it. Okay, so you can tie a knot to seal it, and there we go. Then you can see it goes this way up here. And then we're not going to cut all this off here because we're going to use this bit to soak some of the water up when it's in its container. So you can see from my container, so actually yes, it is a bit too small for this container here, but that's fine. So so you can see that if you have it in your container, that there's going to be all this stocking that hangs down. We don't need all that, so you can just cut and measure it to the length of your container and just chop the end off that you don't need. Okay, so then you've got the little tail there, so when it goes in the container, that will sit in the water at the bottom. Okay, so now to give your lovely grass head a face. So there's various ways you can do this. You can obviously stick bits and pieces on, but one thing I like to do, and I've done it here on this grass head, is I like to pinch some of the soil and make features that stand out, so like the nose and the ears. So how you do that is you just literally pinch, like I say, you just pinch a section of soil. I'm going to make quite a big nose on this one. And you just hold it as a little pinch. Okay, and then you just take either a piece of string or cotton or something like that. I've actually got these little loom bands, so if you plait all the loom bands together, these are really handy, or you could just find a small elastic band. And I'm going to wrap that around the bit that I pinched a few times. There we go, quite stretchy the bands, so that that then becomes the nose of my grass head. Okay, so then you can squish it and play around with it and get it into a shape that you want. You can make it long or thin or whatever you fancy, really. So that's going to be my nose, and you can do the same again on the sides. And so again, if you grab a pinch of it on the sides, then these become your ears. So let me just do those very quickly. One. Now, because I didn't have enough soil in this, and I've done this pinching, some of my grass seed has fallen down on the face, so it might grow out the face, but that's fine, because if it does, you can always trim it off. So you can see some of the seed has gone down. Okay, so that's starting to make a good sort of shape there now, isn't it? So you can see I've got a nose and I've got a couple of ears which I can flatten out. And that's starting to look quite good. Again, with the eyes, you could cut them out of something. You could, I would suggest not using paper or cardboard, because when these get wet, they get a little bit soggy. So maybe if you've got some funky foam, or maybe if you've got some old plastic packaging that you want to cut up, a plastic bag or something like that. You could even get permanent markers like Sharpies. And you could draw the face on, so anything like that. But I've got some googly eyes which I'm sticking onto mine, so there we go, so they're my eyes. And then for the mouth, I've got some funky foam that I had left over, just an offcut. Don't like to waste anything, me. And then I'm going to cut a mouth shape out. I'm going to do a wobbly mouth, I think. Let's see how that looks. Does that look like a bit of a wobbly mouth? Oh, that does. You see, I've just done a squiggly line. You can do a smiley mouth. You can do, well, if you want to do a sad mouth, you do a sad mouth, but I like mine happy. Let's put this wobbly mouth on there. Oops, there we go. There we go. So that's my grass head there, with his features on there. Like I say, you can create all different types. You could turn it into a monster if you wanted to. Okay, so that's going to be my grass head. What you'll then need to do with that is you'll then need to soak it in some water, but your glue needs to be properly dry before you can do that. So this one, I think they're just about stuck. It's one that I did a little bit earlier. So I'm just going to take a container and pop it in, and I'm going to pour some water over it. You can always run it under the tap if you want, but oh yeah, my glue wasn't quite dry, so I've lost an eye already. That's fine. But you can yeah, run it under a tap. You can put it in some water to soak. You just want to get it nice and wet. And I'll just see if I can get my eye back on. Oops. But this is definitely why you need to make sure your glue is dry properly. In fact, if you've got a hot glue gun, it's probably the best thing to be sticking things on with. But so it's getting nice and soaked. The soil's starting to soak it up. I'll just show you one side, the side that I dipped in. But you can see it starts to get nice and wet, and everything starts to soak up. But because my glue isn't dry, my face bits are starting to fall off, but that's fine. We can soon put them back on. But yeah, so if you've got a hot glue gun or something like that, that's probably the best thing to stick on with, or some nice strong glue. But yeah, so you get your grass head nice and properly wet. You will also need some water in the container that your grass head is going to sit into, so that it keeps nice and wet, and you can keep topping that up. So if I transfer him over, oops, he's a little bit drippy now, you can see that that sits in, oh, I'm knocking the eyes off again. You can see that that sits into the water there. That'll eventually get wet and sit into the bottom and I'll sink. Okay, so then that's your grass head in his container. Like I say, you could use a yogurt pot or an empty jam jar or something like that. Anything where the water doesn't leak out, really. Recycle something that you've got lying around, but make sure that your head is big enough for the top of your container. Mine, you can see, it's a little bit small. So from there, if you want to, you can decorate the outside of your container. Just be careful that you don't get it wet when you're watering it and filling it up. So I've got one here that I decorated at the beginning, and this one here is well, it's like a little person with a shirt and a tie on for my grass head there. But again, you could give them different shaped bodies, and you don't have to use paper. You could use plastic, funky foam. You could stick foil on if it's an alien or something like that, make it look like it's sitting in a spaceship. However you want to do it. But yeah, so your little grass head there will start to grow. In about 5 to 7 days, you'll start to see the little shoots come through the top, and then it's probably about 2 to 3 weeks, so you've got to be very, very patient, and it will start to shoot up properly. You'll start to get long shoots of grass up there, and lots of them, just like there are lots of hair on your head. And then if you want, you can then give it a haircut. You can style it. Maybe give it a mohawk down the middle or spiky bits sticking out. But that'll be entirely up to you. Anyway, so that's what you could make this week, and that will, like I say, help you remember that verse, that he knows how many hairs are on your head, and you will know that only someone who loves you that much would care enough to know those things about you, I think. So make your grass heads. For now though, we're just going to say the Lord's Prayer just to finish up with. So if you want to join in, you can. If not, you can just say the Amen at the end, or just have a listen. Here we go. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Okay, so have another lovely week. Enjoy Father's Day today, whatever you're doing, whoever you're celebrating. And maybe even give them your grass head, I don't know. Make a whole family of them. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.